Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:07. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. You're listening to O'Connor and Company. Good Friday morning, folks. You're listening to Patrice Onwuka in for Larry O'Connor today, and I am joined by Hans von Spakovsky. Good morning, Hans.
Good morning, Patrice. Nice to be in studio, not sitting at my kitchen table talking to you on the phone.
Listening, sipping your coffee, right?
Correct.
Getting ready. All right. Well, we're glad to have you. It's been a great 2 hours so far. We've got plenty more show to go. At 7:35, Bram Weinstein is going to be joining us to preview this weekend's Commanders game. At 8:05, Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota will be joining us. We talked about the big happy birthday celebration to our nation, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about it. And at 8:35, Brett Baer will round us out, special report anchor at Fox News Channel. But right now, we are pleased to welcome Tony Shaffer, the former Grand Marshal and a current board member of the National Veterans Parade Foundation, here to tell us about this weekend's National Veterans Parade. Welcome to the program, Tony.
Hey, good morning. And it's exciting. We're going to have the second annual running. It's going to start at 11 a.m. right in front of the National Archives. Scotty Hastings, country music star extraordinaire, Army veteran, will be the Grand Marshal, and better yet, he's going to be giving a concert. And this is not like a Beyonce concert where he shows up and talks. This is going to actually be music. Imagine that.
Wow, I see the shade there.
I know. Yeah,
Okay.
You show up and you get music. And then he and his band will be on a deuce and a half in the parade. So we're going to be there. I'll be doing color commentary on the co-master ceremonies. A certain personality at WMAL snuck up last year, was behind me before I knew it. He said, hey, and walked away. So we expect, WMAL folks to show up and say hey. So we're looking forward to it.
Okay, so this Sunday, November 10th at 11 a.m., the National Veterans Parade. Okay, thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer.
Sure.
Hans.
Well, Tony, I got to just tell you a very quick veteran story why I'm so grateful to the U.S. military. You know, my father was a white Russian, escaped the Soviet Union, settled in Yugoslavia, and then in 1946, when Tito and the communists started taking over again, he had to flee Yugoslavia. And you know where he went? He figured the safest place in Europe would be where there were American troops. So he headed for the American-occupied sector of Germany, which is where I ended up meeting my mother. But everybody knew you wanted to be safe. You headed for not where the Russian troops, not where the French. You went to where the American troops were.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's something that people still recognize is the valor and just spiritedness of American soldiers and American military. And so we'll be honoring all of that. Plus, I'm going to be doing a tribute to my late friend, and I think, Hans, you knew him, Tony LoBianco. Tony is Tony passed back in June, and his last public appearance was for us, at the National Veterans Parade last year. He actually did a reading of Just a Common Soldier, which is a great poem about American service. And to your point, Hans, we're going to honor everything that's great about the American service members, plus Tony, recognizing Tony's career. And I'm just going to say it, Tony was an exceptional American. Our job, Hans, is to create conditions as warriors to protect American exceptionalism, which is giving people the opportunity to be exceptional. That's what it's about. So we're going to go through all that. We're going to talk about that, and I think we're going to have a good time honoring the people. And by the way, this is completely nonpartisan. DC is completely behind it. We're going to have all sorts of folks from DC participating. So this is going to be truly something just to honor the service and spirit of the American members of the military.
Which goes back a long way. Tony, we were just talking about before that, next March will be the 250th anniversary of Patrick Henry's Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech. But people forget the reason he was giving that speech was to get people to vote for his resolution that Virginia should form an armed militia.
Yeah.
Which, one of our first military units to do what? Oppose an imperialistic government.
Wow.
Yeah. All about protecting the interests going back. And, yeah, this is going to be the 250th anniversary also of the U.S. Navy next year and the U.S. Army. And Space Service is going to have to really catch up. They've got to get their warp drive on, Hans, and get out there and do something to go back in time to catch up with the other services, just saying. But, no, we'll be out there with them, with the members of the military, the services. I think the Army is going to have the Old Guard band. Our friend Kevin Winsing is going to have some surprise from the Navy. Maybe they're going to bring in a battleship. Who knows? But it'll be fun. It'll be good for everybody to get together.
We're speaking right now with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. You are telling us about the National Veterans Parade Foundation, which is going to be held this Sunday, November 10th. It starts at 11 a.m. Folks can go to nationalveteransparade.org. I would just love your thoughts on the election results and the next administration, President Trump's administration. What do you think this is going to mean for the military and for veterans?
Well, let me part this in two ways, because you guys know I'm close. I'm a former member of the Trump transition team in 2016, and I was the national security advisor to Trump 2020. So let me first say, as a veteran, I am hearing that people who even oppose Trump are happy that he's coming back or in the military. Just say it.
Wow.
Just say it. I was talking to someone last night. It's like, yeah, those on the left who are all upset, they're really not all that upset if they're in the defense industry, because they're looking forward to it. Just so it's very nonpartisan. As a partisan, look, Hans, where did those 15 million votes go last time? Huh?
Right.
So we've got some questions. Just saying, we got some questions, and I think this victory should allow a lot of folks to go in. President Trump asked me what I wanted to do back in June. I gave him what made my suggestion. We'll see what comes through, and we're all going to do what we can to get back in there with President Trump to do those hard things of actually writing the state of the United States, or the whole Leviathan, and trying to help out and get things going. So I'm excited. I think we're all excited. Even those who oppose President Trump, well, they're secretly excited, So when you go to work today, if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're going into your office there at one of the military facilities, just do a little wink to those who were opposing President Trump, because deep down they like it that he's coming back.
Yeah, and look, he's got a lot of work ahead of him, the president, because it seems like this administration spent the past 4 years doing everything it can to damage military morale, military readiness, with their DEI and woke policies, all of which were geared not towards having the best, most effective fighting warriors in the world, but basically changing social policies, which is not the job of the U.S. military.
Well, I think to that point, we need to have an investigation immediately of how Mark Milley got his white rage. I think it was hemorrhoids, but I don't know that. But we need to get to the bottom of that. But to your point, I think one of the first things he's going to do, Secretary Wilkie is rumored to be in charge of the team. I can't confirm or deny that. Regarding the Pentagon, I can tell you, because I have talked to Secretary Wilkie. He and I have been on Newsmax together, that the woke issue is going to be one of the first targets they go after.
Very good.
And it has to be removed.
Very good. Well, we have to leave it there. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, thank you so much. This Sunday, November 10th at 11 a.m., the National Veterans Parade. Go to nationalveteransparade.org for all the details. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know we will have you back soon.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Terrific. It is 7:15 WMAL Traffic and Weather.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, Hans von Spakovsky. It has been a long time since we uttered here at WMAL at O'Connor and Company the name Hunter Biden, but he's back. There are rumors that the call that President Trump and President Biden had yesterday, or the day, I think it was the day before yesterday, potentially involved Hunter Biden's name, maybe a pardon request in exchange for I don't know what, but it would be probably something really good. What are your thoughts on Hunter Biden?
Well, I don't know what that discussion was, but is there anybody listening to this that doesn't believe that Biden will pardon his son, even if it's on the last day in office? Given.
So you think he's not going to wait for Trump? He would do it himself?
Well, I think he probably would like to ask Trump to do it I don't know if the president-elect will agree to do it. But even if Trump said, well, no, I'm not going to, like I said, given the Biden family,
yes,
given their whole history, does anybody think he's not going to pardon his son? Come on.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. It's very likely in some way or shape or form that Hunter Biden is going to get some sort of pardon. Now, that question came up during yesterday's press conference at the White House. Let's play cut 5, Michael. This is White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying that President Biden will not pardon his son. But that's her, and they're never usually on the same page.
Does the president intend to pardon any administration officials or people that Trump has threatened with any sort of legal actions? He's got 74 days, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I know pardons is going to be a big part of the questions that I get here over the next several weeks and couple of months that we have. I don't have anything to share or any thought process on pardons. Once we have something to share, we certainly will share that.
Secondly, his son, Hunter, is also up for being sentenced next month. Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
Okay, so that's what Karine Jean-Pierre is saying. And just to refresh our memories, Hunter Biden was convicted in June of a federal gun trial, and then he's also pled guilty last month to a federal tax evasion case. So he's facing some significant penalties, correct?
Yeah, and he should.
And he should.
He should. Yeah, but again, I just don't believe her. I think Biden will punish him. Let me tell you what should happen, though.
Okay.
What should happen is that the prosecutors at the U.S. Justice Department who mishandled deliberately the Hunter Biden case all ought to be fired, which included everything from, as the IRS whistleblower said, preventing a complete investigation and intentionally allowing the statute of limitations to run on some of the tax charges.
Wow.
I mean, he was indicted and he pleaded guilty to tax charges, but only on some of them. The rest of them, they just allowed it to subside. And the other big thing is, look, Hunter Biden clearly violated the FARA Act. You know, that's the Foreign Agent Registration Act.
Yes.
He was representing foreign governments. He clearly violated it, and yet not only was a single charge never brought against him under that, well, the statute of limitations on that is also run again.
It's funny, though, Democrats have not let statutes of limitations stop them before, especially when it comes to President Trump and filing charges against him. Yet somehow this is something that they allow when it comes to Hunter Biden. But, I mean, to the larger point about President Trump, let's say we believe Karine Jean-Pierre and that President Biden does not pardon his son. Would it be a good olive branch, a show of unity? Piers Morgan, he tweeted, President Trump should pardon Hunter. That would go a long way to setting the right tone for bringing a very divided America back together again. Do you think that is a good way of uniting America?
Well, let the other side put out the olive branch first. That hasn't happened, right? Everybody who's been calling him the next thing to Hitler, saying he's a threat to democracy, they haven't stopped doing that. Perhaps if they extended an olive branch and quit doing that and admitted that those were outrageous claims, well, then maybe President Trump should consider that. But they always want the conservative side to compromise, and they never seem to, on the liberal side, seem to be interested in that.
Well, you know, I could foresee the conversation between President Trump and President Biden having gone something like this. You turn down the pressure on me in these federal cases, and I'll consider a pardon for Hunter Biden. Is that possible too?
Yeah, I guess it could be, but like I said, I just think the abuse of the system by DOJ under the President Attorney General, in which they tried to get rid of these charges, tried not to investigate. It was only public pressure and other things, and they didn't bring all the charges they should have. This case was so mishandled, it's just shocking.
Well, let's hope that all of those folks find themselves in the unemployment line.
I hope so.
And I'm sure they will find themselves somewhere in the system at some future time. All right, we'll have more on President Trump's next steps, what he's going to be doing over the next his next administration. Plus, we've got some good guests to talk more about some of these cases and more. It is 7:20
now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:37, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, and you're listening to O'Connor and Company. Happy Friday, folks. I'm Patrice Onwuka. I'm filling in for Larry today. Big shoes, but I'm trying to fill them. And I've got here to help me Hans von Spakovsky of Heritage Foundation, the election guru. Here with us. Good morning, Hans.
Well, good morning to you, Patrice. Thank you. That's a nice title. I'll go with it.
Okay, terrific. Well, at 8:05, Governor Kristi Noem will be joining us from South Dakota. She's going to give us a little bit of a preview of a big 250th birthday celebration for America. At 8:35, Brett Baer will round us out. He's anchor of Special Report at Fox News Channel. But right now, previewing this weekend's Commanders game. As usual, we've got Bram Weinstein. He is the voice of play-by-play announcer of the Washington Commanders and ESPN 630 host. Good morning, Bram.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Well, you're going to help us through this segment. All right, we are up. It is the Washington Commanders 7-2 up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 6-2. I mean, I think, can we say now the RG3 curse has been broken with Jaden Daniels?
Oh, boy. Nobody wants to invoke the injuries that occurred to him.
You better knock on wood. Better knock on wood before you answer that question.
Yeah, I think they are two really different players. The thing that they had in common was they were both elite athletes coming into the league. But they're actually very different players. Jaden's a much more accomplished passer than Robert really was when he came into the league. I think some of the injuries that he suffered late were because he relied on his athletic ability to run maybe a little bit too much and took on a few larger people that he shouldn't have when he did in his rookie season. And then, kind of everything went from there. Jaden kind of came in here as a much more accomplished pocket passer who also happens to be a very deft runner as well. He is having what I think is one of the greatest seasons any rookie quarterback's ever had in the history of the league. He has a chance to, by the end of this, he's not currently the leader in completion percentage, but he's close enough that he could do it in the second half of the season. If he were to lead the league in completion percentage, he'd be the first rookie to do that since the 1930s. And the person who did do that, threw the ball 4 or 5 times a game. It was a very different sport at the time. So he's kind of breaking the mold, Robert included, and he's having such a fabulous season. It's the reason why, one of the major reasons why this team is in the position that it's in.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this town. I'm in this town for more than 2 decades now. When was the last time they had a season this good?
1996, actually. That's the last time they've been at least 7-2. So it's been an entire generation. And if they win on Sunday, which would be a home win to make them 5-0 at home, that would be the first time they've started 5-0 at home since 1991, which is the last time they won the Super Bowl. If they get to 8-2 by winning this weekend, it'll be the last time since that season they've started a season at best 8-2. So instead of hearkening 2012 with Robert's year, I like thinking about 1991 when they had the best team in the NFL and won their most recent Super Bowl.
My goodness. So we're talking Super Bowl right now with Bram, or is that no too early?
I don't know. This is really unprecedented. They have 30 new players on their team. They have a new coaching staff. They have a new front office. The ownership is still relatively very new, and it's their first full season. History says that's not going to lead there. But they're literally doing things where they're rewriting their history every week. Like, we're citing all these different dates. I laughed about this early in the season. There were so many times early in the year where we'd get notes after the game from all different statistical sources. And it would say, not since World War II, not since 1985, not since 1978. Like this, they haven't failed on a fourth down conversion yet. They're 11 for 11. The last time they did that was 1978 at least. They're not sure. They're rewriting their history every single week. So I'm open to believing. And the reality is they're 7-2, and there's only one team in their conference that has a better record than them. So if they happen to have the best record in the NFC, they'll get a bye, they'll have home games, and then I think we can really start believing this is a big week.
Wow.
They're playing Pittsburgh, who's 6-2 on Sunday. Then they have to turn around and play Philadelphia on Thursday in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a half game behind them for the division. This is an enormous week if we're going to start dreaming about really big things.
Yeah, and you mentioned 1978. I think that was, 2 decades before Jaden Daniels was even born.
That's right. Yep.
Well, is there anything?
I was 5, and just starting to enjoy football at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's promising. Now that said, they're up against the Steelers right now, who are at the top of their division, right? First place in the AFC North. So, weaknesses in the Steelers that you think the Commanders can take advantage of this weekend?
This is a good test. They're obviously really good. Their record is what it is. Their coach is the second longest tenured coach in the NFL ongoing, Mike Tomlin. He has, in 17 years, never had a losing record, which is really, really phenomenal in the NFL. It's almost impossible. I mean, everybody has bad years. He does not. They're very, very good. His record against rookie quarterbacks is astronomical. It's something like 23-6 over 17 years. Like, he typically beats them. They don't do anything fancy. They're old school. Everything they do is very straightforward, but they are really good at it. And they have elite players on their defense. This is going to be a massive test. They're the second best scoring defense in the NFL. Teams average about 15 points a game against them. So this one's going to be a good old-fashioned fight. We're going to find out how tough this team is this weekend. And you know what? The home crowds have been just phenomenal this year. We're going to need them this week bad.
All right. And I hear folks are getting towels.
Visual. Yeah.
Is that right? They're getting some burgundy towels?
It's a really interesting visual. So, one of the famous things about the Pittsburgh fan base is they have this thing called the terrible towel that they bring with them everywhere, and it's yellow. So Washington decided, why don't we hand out our fans the burgundy towels? Yeah. And so when they wave them together, it's going to look like burgundy and gold.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Terrific. Bram, we're going to have to leave it right there. Yeah. Thank you so much. Bram Weinstein, the voice of ESPN 630 host and the play-by-play announcer for the Washington Commanders. We're hoping for a clip that we can play on Monday, Bram.
I'll supply you at least a few. How about that?
All right. Thank you so much. It is 7:44. Right. Let's get to Jamie Witt.
So much truth, you'll hope for traffic so you can hear it all on the Vince Colonnese Show, weekdays 3 to 6, right here on WMAL.
All right, folks, we've got a critter news update for you. Actually, 2 of them. We'll start with the sweeter one and then get to the disturbing one second, Hans. The first one, the National Zoo has dropped some really cute pictures of pandas. They are the 2 pandas. We know that we just got some pandas back from China, Bao Li and Jing Bao. One is all about the fun, and I think the other is all about the business. So you can go and check out those pictures, but Hans, I really want to get into your proposal for the Trump administration when it comes to pandas.
Listen, I think one of the things that Donald Trump could do is, remember, these pandas just came from communist-controlled China. I think he should give them asylum.
Well,
in the U.S., grant them asylum. Then they can stay here.
That's right. And if they have children, baby pandas together, if I'm not sure if they're male or female, but if they do, I think these should be naturalized. I mean, natural born citizens, right? They get to be American and they stay. That is the most important thing. Our hearts were broken in this region when last November, the 2 pandas that had been living here in the United States, they left. Tian Tian, Mei Jing, and Zhao Ji. Yeah, they boarded the Panda Express. So we lost those pandas, and everybody in this region was sad.
Right.
And so we're happy to have some pandas back, but we want our own pandas. We need make America great for the pandas. That's what we want.
And like I said, easy way to do it is grant them asylum in the U.S. I mean, why hasn't the Biden administration already done that since they've been granting asylum to absolutely everybody else?
Thank you. And these pandas are not killing people. So I'm pretty sure the influential people are listening to us right now. Maybe the next in the administration, that's an idea for you. Now, the more disturbing story. Get ready, folks. 43 lab monkeys have escaped from a lab in South Carolina. these monkeys, this is CBS reporting, they've been used for vaccine development. So I don't know what they have been vaccinated with, but they can carry viruses which can be deadly to people, according to the CDC. So the CDC is saying, quote, if a monkey doesn't appear to be ill, it can still be infected. And they may bite, spit, or scratch when frightened. So please don't try to pet the monkey.
That's dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, what a dangerous situation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Actually, our wonderful producer, Heather, said, that sounds like a movie. And we looked it up.
Yes, it does.
Outbreak, Dustin Hoffman, and I think it's 1995. This movie was literally about an outbreak among infected monkeys. So listen, please, if you see a rabid monkey or if you see any loose monkey running around South Carolina, do not touch the monkey.
Yeah, although, perhaps if the CDC quit expanding its role into so much political stuff and actually focused on what it's supposed to be doing, they might do more about lab safety and things like this,
Hans, always with the policy. Policy recommendations, I love it. Yes, right. The CDC needs to be maybe staying out of creating viruses and testing them on monkeys, and then not at least keeping track of these animals, keeping them locked down. Right. All right, so South Carolina officials have warned residents to lock their doors and windows. The 40 monkeys are on the loose. Please be safe, folks. Watch out for the rabid, or not rabid, but for the monkeys that are infected. Only in America can you see this happening. All right, it is 7:53.